Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Mending Threads, your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. This is our transformation series, and we have on the past, we've looked at stress and trauma and the effect that it has on our learning, on our health care, and what we do in our lives every day. And most certainly affect our future in our children and family, the family impact. But today we have with us a special guest, and of course, Doc Walker with us, our person that we have as our community resource individual, who is associate pastor to Shrine and also with Texas Southern University Urban Research and Resource Center, and also with University of Houston Black Studies Department. And we have with us a special guest, and I can't wait to hear about her from the Sankofa Academy of Public Schools and Miss Tony Imani Fisher. And I want to know all about this. So welcome to you this morning. And we have as our topic, um, we're going to look at cultural education, and really move into our cultural competence, but cultural education and the impact on youth success as to where we are. We're going to redefine success and what that means. So, welcome to us with us this morning. So, can you just tell? We're going to both ask you questions and discuss with you this morning. Can you share with me how you became interested and looking at the whole topic of cultural education?
Yes, it's a long story, but I'll do the abbreviated version.
Yes.
First of all, I am a Texas educator. Have been certified in the state of Texas for over 20 some odd years. I'm an administrator, certified administrator in the state of Texas as well. And through my past work, just have felt the need to ensure that our students, brown and black, have cultural representation in the classroom through curriculum, activities, programming, etc. And so that's the very abbreviated version. I've had an opportunity to work with some really great individuals to put together curriculum in the past. I've worked at KIPP Liberation, and we developed a really solid African Studies program, Mandela African Studies program. It was ground shaking and moving. We still see the effects of what those students learned even now, and they're in their 20s. And so it was a great learning opportunity. And then we also provided African-centered instruction through summer programming, after-school programming. My organization is called Sisterhood Creations Incorporated. My sister and I founded that organization over 16 years ago, and then started doing outreach in the community, working with giants like Shape Community Center, Southside Community Center, and SEHA, Youth and Fitness during the summer. And so just really had an opportunity to develop the curriculum in a non-state assessment world, if you understand that, So
Yeah.
we definitely had an opportunity to really develop some great curriculum. And then if you fast forward things, Sankofa Academy Public School board members, Alicia Basie is our founding board president. I worked with her at KIPP Liberation. Aswad Walker was a part of KIPP Lib, and some other people on the founding organizational team decided, let's push forward with Sankofa Academy Public Schools. And a year ago, the board was developed. Proud and very honored to be working behind the board, if you could say that. The board members that will be submitting the application include some great individuals in our community. Alicia Basie, Aswad Walker, Kavanaugh Noswazy, Dr. Vion McReynolds, Denise Lopez, and Tanine Kane. Those are the members who are writing the charter, submitting the charter. We have a group of individuals. Hopefully you'll join us. We're called the Friends of Sankofa. We are Friends of Sankofa Academy Public School. We believe in providing a holistic model that is desperately needed in our public school systems right now. They say graduation rates are increasing, but if you've been to a high school graduation, what you'll notice is there are no Black males graduating, and I can say no, and that's kind of definitive, and we should say there's some,
Some
but
very limited, very decreased. Yes,
if you've been to a graduation lately, and if you've been to a
yes, yes.
graduation in our city, you're looking around and
Mhm.
you're like, where's the
Where
where's
are the kids?
where
Well,
are
they're
they?
in, we know where they are, but we do know where they are. And matter of fact, I've been doing some reading to look at. I do know this. You can tell I've been around for a while. So therefore, what you're talking about, the Sankofa Academy, I was part of. Um, God, I'm gonna. Uh,
While your search is
Cosby,
going
Bill Cosby.
on, okay.
I was a part of Bill Cosby's education program back in the, I want to say like the 70s. Okay, and it was very similar. Okay, and so he was instrumental, and I'm gonna tell you why. You made a statement, and I want to say he demonstrated at that time that if the children knew about who they were and who they are, and infuse this information in their culture, I may even still have some of the material in there. And what he found is that they're not only their learning, their healthcare, their engagement, their participation in civics, in the community, they felt connected. And so what he saw was that African American men were more in leadership if they infuse this, not only infuse it, but if they created a culture of learning within the school as opposed to infusing. And he differentiated infusing as a part of the reality of the curriculum encompassing all culture and a reality. There was two different things that he said. And so I wanted to hear your idea about that, but that's my first introduction to this some time ago. And all of a sudden, he developed a program called a film about it, Culture Lost, Stolen, and Strayed. Okay. So you can look it up. I might even still have the record on it. I think I do. And I think I do. I think I saw it not long ago. I was trying to declutter, but it is something that's special because he said then that what we would have is we would have mass incarceration. We would have African Americans, males particularly, that would drop out of school. Okay, and this is what we would see a lot of. And our children, if there would be anger and whatever, he said, if we wanted harmony and clarity in our community, this is what we needed to do. And actually, he had a nice little school right down Broad Street in Philadelphia that was one of the academies. So I wanted to see what you and Doc Walker talk about the difference between the infusion and the cultural competence of the teachers to see what you're finding about that, because those are two important things with student being in school, and what school education is about.
I'll yield the floor.
Okay. Well, like I've told you before, my experience teaching at the University of Houston for the past 16, going on 17 years. Um, every time that I'm about to feel like, every time I feel like I'm not making a difference, I guess I should say, um, with what I'm teaching, I'm reminded by the response and reaction of students, things that, we may take for granted in terms of what we know about our history, heritage, and culture are absolutely mind blowing and life altering to people who have not been exposed. And so that's one of the reasons why I just love the classroom so much, because I have an opportunity to help someone else wake up to their own divine worth. There's that whole saying that teaching really isn't pouring in, it's bringing out. It's bringing something out of the student that's really already there, their greatness and all that. You're trying to be the facilitator. And so I take that role very seriously. And the almost the steroids, the juice, the magic, the mojo, the magic element is exposing people to their own history, their own story. And so I heard you talking about the difference between it being infused and it just being, foundationally part of the program. Hell, it's not even infused in most places. It's not even a part at all. That would be a step forward. But I had the honor of meeting Tony Imani Fisher, her sister, and so many of the friends of Sankofa through KIP Liberation years ago. And that's what they were all about. That's what attracted me to just be a part of whatever they were doing. And so when I heard about Sankofa Academy, it was literally a no-brainer, because they're talking about it being foundational. And to that point, I had a question for Ms. Fisher. So when you're talking about a curriculum that is geared to the educational, holistic needs of Black and Brown students, how do you respond to those people who say, well, wait a minute, all curriculums matter?
Well, I would agree. I would definitely agree that all curriculums matter. And so when we look at Sankofa Academy Public School and what the authors are writing towards in this application is we will follow, the school will follow the TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. Of course we will. We're a state chartered school, and that is the law, right? But what we did and will continue to do, and what the plan is to infuse and make it part of the foundation of the school. So it's not like I'm going to a class that says I'm going to African studies, or I'm going to a class that says I'm going to global zeal. It is infused in the lesson, number one. It's infused in the curriculum that is selected, number two. And then, as Dr. Lewis said, it's very important that our educators come into the classroom equipped with some cultural knowledge and pedagogy that they can deliver the instruction in the way, because it's not only just the resource, right? African American children, brown children, and heck, we'll say all children learn differently, right? We agree with that. But our particular students that Sankofa Academy Public School that the charter is targeting is African American students and Hispanic students in an urban community. That's different. You stop there and you think about, what do kids in urban settings need? They need sports. They need dance. They need music.
Right.
They need a lot of they need yoga, right? They're coming to school with a lot more baggage than the kid in Manville. African American kid in Manville needs something different than the kid in 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, or Sunnyside. And so I was excited that Dr. McReynolds was a part of the founding organization and brought to the health and wellness of it, because that's also super important to the application, is that we provide health and wellness, and not only for our students, but you've been in education. There's so many tired and depressed and lost teachers out there, right? So you got to build a culture where it's the teachers, it's the students, everybody has health and wellness on their mind, right? So that we can get the job done. So again, being a friend of Sankofa has been a great honor, as well as Dr. Walker stated, that we have worked together for some time. This is not new to this organization of body of people. Miss Basie has been charter leader in Chicago, Michigan, Houston. So we're confident of the leadership team that has assembled. And like I said, we're always looking for friends of Sankofa. Dr. Lewis, we hope that you will join us. Part of the application that is being submitted has to do with social and emotional wellness. What are we doing with that? It can't be all reading, writing, math, and science. That's over with. You know, we have to address the social, emotional well-being of our students. And one of the programs that I wrote is called YAMS. It's called Yoga and Meditation School. And it provides students an opportunity to learn self-discipline, self-awareness, mindfulness. You know, imagine I'm seasoned. I won't say my age. I'm seasoned. But imagine if I learned so many years ago how to settle myself, how to calm down, it's okay to take a deep breath.
Yes. And one of the things that we're not teaching, so what I want you to do, yes, I'm most certainly, Dr. Walker knows I'm most certainly interested in it. And he's participating in our whole body wellness program that we have, which couches mental health, not looking at mental health as a whole body perspective. And when you look at that, what you were speaking about is that persons from African American and Brown communities, we're not teaching them how to approach their culture in order to gain strength. We're teaching them how to deny their culture, which brings on illness. So when you don't respect something, so there's a whole thing that we should be talking about. So what you're speaking about in your curriculum actually bridges the whole idea that this is what you're talking about when you talk about cultural health. Because when you don't appreciate something, in fact, the brain then does not begin to become cognitively aware of anything. See, in other words, it is right. It is always in a protective, a dormant situation of defending or whatever, which is survival. You know, when we begin to think about it. So we are constantly under trauma and stress every day because we're trying to survive through denying and accommodating to pressure situations. Okay,
Dr.
which
Lewis, if you don't mind, I have a question for Tony Imani Fisher. And y'all just going to keep giving me this PhD degree without me going to get that PhD degree. I'm going to have to go to go get that.
well, you know, what we're going to do is if while you're working on what you're going to do, we're going to have somebody just bestow one upon you,
Okay.
and then that way, because you've already earned it, you've already gotten the what. So we'll just get somebody to do it like they did President Obama.
Okay.
Okay, then.
Well, thank you very much. But,
Good company. Good company.
Tony Imani Fisher, while you were giving your last response, you mentioned something real quick, and I would ask that you touch on it a little more. You mentioned global zeal. Why is that so critically important to the curriculum of Sankofa Academy?
It's huge. Children, and you know, when I first got into education, I'm from Denver, Colorado. When I first got into teaching in Houston, I was on the north side. I was amazed about how many students had never been to the zoo.
Yes.
Okay, so the world is our classroom. So global zeal, we have to provide opportunities for the students to see themselves outside of Third Ward, outside of Fifth Ward, outside of Sunnyside. And so that global zeal that's what it is. It brings that into the classroom. One of the mottos that we had for years is the world is our classroom. And so for our children to be competitive globally, they have to be exposed to global zeal. They have to be exposed to international thoughts, practices. Children, one of the components that is in the application is a pen pal situation where our students will be able to write other students in other countries, right? And build relationships across the pond, as you could say, right? And so global zeal is taught through language development. You know, we plan to offer French, Spanish, cultural awareness. The discipline system is set up on the principles of Mott. So just providing them exposure to other things. I used to always be so amazed. Children would go to the rodeo and they'd be like, "Ooh, look at that pig, look at that," but just not having the exposure, not being able to go to a farm on Grandma's farm and seeing horses or cows. And so to ensure that students are competitive in this global society, we have to offer that immediately to them. They have to be exposed to different cultures. And, we're open to everyone. Let's get that clear too. It's an open enrollment charter school. So it's not something that Ms. Basie is saying that it's just for Black or brown. But if you look at the targeted communities, you know where we're going with this. But so Global Zeal, when we were at Liberation, could be found through the African Drum and Dance Ensemble, Impilo Cultural Dance Ensemble. And when I say those kids 15 years later are still dancing, some of them are still on the stage dancing, performing, drumming, that. So
Right.
It stayed with them. And then, like I said, just the whole idea of owning your own culture and being proud of it, because that's part of it. If you're not proud of who you are, where you came from, you will definitely not know where you're going and be able to move forward in a positive manner. So that was one of the biggest things that we saw in our past history, is that when we empowered kids, when we empowered our students, they were like giants. We couldn't stop them. They really felt like I can do anything, and a lot of them did. So we're excited to be able to continue our work.
And you
So
mentioned that the discipline model is based on Mayat. I mean, that's just mind blowing. The fact that we have a school here in Houston, Texas, that is using the ancient Egyptian, the ancient Kemetic value system to work and develop its students. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to ask her
just mind
to.
blowing.
I was going to ask her to talk about how that relates to the students' discipline and critical thinking.
Mm.
Because expanding the looking at Global Zeal, according to some of the stuff, it says that it leads into curriculum building for critical thinking because they have a wider awareness. Because I really want you to I wanted you to talk about that to their own decision making and their own behavior. I want to see how they're related.
Yes, definitely. Conscious discipline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Discipline that makes sense. And so the 7 principles of Ma'at, with truth and balance and order or harmony, all of those things are interwoven into the discipline policy to allow students to make better decisions and better choices and feel supported in that. So restorative justice practice principles are added in there within a community circle, having the circle in the morning. That's one of the things that we want to do, is not be so traditional. So the students will start their morning off with circle. Now, circle time in the old school days was you sit around the carpet and you learn your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s. But now circle is going to be including the 7 principles of Ma'at. And let's talk about what happened yesterday, because a lot of times kids don't have the opportunity to process a lot of this stuff. So we got to take a little time. And trust me, reading, math, writing, science, all that is very important to the board. But creating well-balanced students that are ready to succeed post high school is what we're looking at. And so the 7 principles of Ma'at are interwoven into the discipline policy and procedures to diffuse or help students identify how they can change their behavior. And that's handled through our circle time in the morning, because everything is not, you did this, check the box, go to the principal's office. You did this, check the box, you go to the principal's office. What Ms. Basie will be doing is working with the teachers to develop skills that diffuse situations before. A lot of times what happens in classrooms, it's a power struggle between the teacher and the student. And the teacher wants to be what? Right. I am right. Well, we want to have a culture where we're all right and we all learn from each other and we're all growing. And so that 7 principles of Ma'at will help us keep balance and order, and where the students actually feel empowered to be a part of that process.
Where they make some decisions. So I'm looking at it from a mental health state point of view as well. And I'm looking at the criminal justice system that's emerging for the middle school children, they said, by that time. So if you could look, what you're speaking about is that there is a critical thinking component by using the principles to define what I'm going to do, why I'm doing it, how I'm going to do it, putting myself in and beginning to use the situation from a critical thinking point of view about problem solving. And so within the moment, you see, and within the time and in the classroom. So I'm looking at it as building stamina. Okay, is what you do, and being able to handle difficult times, trauma that's coming. So looking at the whole, also as part of the education system doing that. And so that moves us into looking at what they call cultural socialization, you see. And so I wanted to see how you were moving cultural socialization to, so to speak, is where they learn about, while they're learning about themselves, they're learning how they interface with other cultures using study and using whatever. So I want to see how you infuse that, or how do you give a platform to that within the curriculum building?
Well, a lot of it is resources and what you use. I think that's very critical as an educator. We have the power to follow the TEKS, of course, but then we can supplement what needs to happen in the classroom. And that's where it's so important for our work in the community to come together to provide us the resources to embed all of this in the curriculum. I know when we were at Liberation, Basie talks about all the time going to a SWAT at University of Houston and be like, oh my God, we're doing this university, we're doing the Mandela Studies Department. Can you help us? Because there isn't a lot out there for teachers to draw on and use. And so finding the resources is critical, and picking curriculum that students can identify themselves in, and then actually taking the time also to dig a little deeper and make it more relevant. You know, there's so much history in Fourth Ward. You know, if you look at Jack Yates High School, if you look at Freedmanstown, our kids don't know that. It's not in the book. It's just not in the book. But part of what Sankofa Academy Public School Board of Directors is doing is making sure that that is available and embedded in one. Like I said, it has to be a part of the lesson cycle. So Ms. Basie has developed a lesson cycle where, okay, maybe the do now is you come in and you're going to read something about Jack Yates High School sports. And then we're going to tie it into, where did he go to church? Right? It's just down the corner. It's still there. So tying that, infusing that all together. One, you got to make it culturally relevant for the kids, which is right now, what's happening right now. That Jack Yates High School basketball team is killing them. You know, nobody wants to play those boys, right? But who is Jack Yates, right? And so taking it deeper and further, and then infusing that across the curriculum so that we can look at it in social studies, that we can look at it in math, that we can look at it in reading. Everything is connected. The Sankofa Academy Public School has a project-based learning model that was developed. And so that's key too, to create, to model, to mold, to create something, which is not just take the test. It's not just take the test.
So is that project-based learning more as taking a topic and they have to create a project, or is it a project and they have to dismantle it?
It always will start with an essential question. And so we'll be trying to answer this question and create a product, a prototype. It could be a paper, it could be a model, it could be something, it could be just a response. But the way the program is set up, the children will have half days on particular Fridays. I think the calendar is like 3 to 4 I think it's twice a month. Let me speak correctly. Twice a month, project-based learning Fridays take place. And students will have an opportunity to work in collaborative settings with their teacher. Take your shoes off, get in your corner, go do some work, and answer the question. Another part of the program is community service. And so one of the dimensions is social justice and community service. And so high school students on Fridays would have opportunities to go to the food bank or go see Dr. Lewis and see what volunteer opportunities exist. Because as we know, once we start getting out into our own communities, one, it'll help our students realize, dang, it ain't that bad for me at my mama's house. People really, Big Mama doing the best she can, so it gives them a broader sense of their own situation. And then it shows them, empowers them what they can do in their community to make their situation better, or their
and
community.
also see how they're connected.
That's true.
Really making them connected and bridging that. I like the word bridging the connection, because they then now see the meaning of how they're connected and within the community.
Ms. Fisher, can you speak to, well, two things really, because you mentioned socialization, and the first thing I thought about was the importance of community. So one, can you speak to the Friends of Sankofa? Because thinking about some of the friends, those are some really heavy hitters, some really impressive people. And number two, can you speak to how Sankofa Academy is really the school for this particular moment with all that's been going on in the world? Can you speak to those two things?
I can. So the Friends of Sankofa Coalition is a group of educators and community members who support the application process and are deeply committed to ensuring that our students in those targeted communities have this opportunity to go to a really great holistic K-12 school. So again, one of the wonderful things about Sankofa Academy Public Schools is it's K-12. Lots of times in our community, I've said it before, you can find a great elementary school and your babies are doing fine, and then they got to go to Cullen Middle School. And I'm not saying there's anything against Cullen Middle School. It's just not where my kid was before, and I don't know how successful he'll be. Okay, and then I get him into KIPP Liberation. He's there and he's doing great, and we got that culture thing going, and he gets to do yoga and he's reading literature. And then it's high school. Oh my God, what am I going to do? It's high school. It's high school. I don't know. So this model provides parents an opportunity and teachers to stay someplace where you can grow K-12. You don't have to worry about moving here, moving there. So that was very important. The Friends of Sankofa, like I said, consist of individuals who have worked together in the past. When they heard about this idea that Miss Basie wanted to get this charter school started, that we said, sure, what can we do? We can't sit on the board. I can't sit on the board, but I can definitely support you by finding resources or connecting you with individuals. So when we look at Tori Dugar, who is Tori Cofield, who is was a founding principal at KIPP Liberation. She worked in Michigan. She's worked all over the country. She's a powerhouse in education. We look at Sean Stewart, who also great startup charter school work, great special education population. Leah Rutherford is a Teach for America guru, came out and just has done great things in our community. She's published great curriculum. And so coming together, working with these individuals, when they asked me to come on, I said, sure, this sounds great. We have a lot of people in the wings who are working to support this application and getting it approved. And
All Real Radio, Cheer the Hood, Michelle Barnes, Community Arts.
Yeah. Thank you. Keep going. So we got All Real Radio.
Yes.
Michelle Barnes was so fantastic because art is part of this program. Like art is in there. Art is infused everywhere. Children will have an opportunity to participate in art. And so Michelle Barnes with the collective, she understands how important and valuable that is as an art educator. All Real Radio broadcasting, Tour de Hood with bicycles. We have Men Inc. coming in to do some volunteering with our African American males, and looking for business people as well. As the school grows, one of the leadership strands is entrepreneurship and leadership. One of the things the Texas Education Agency has done in recent years is stated that it's not just college readiness skills that we're looking at anymore. Hallelujah. Right? Thank you,
Yes,
TES.
yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, career readiness matters. Let's bring it back into the curriculum, right? Kids, our
Mm-hmm.
students must be prepared not only to go to college, and we all agree, we want every single one of our kids to go to college. However, instead of taking out a loan, could they learn how to change a flat tire? You know, can they work? Do they have any skill set to help them while they're in college? Because what I know for sure is college is debt. College has been debt for myself and my children. But if they had some skill set that if I had taught them, if they would have learned something that could, even graphic design, can they make a flyer? Can they braid hair? Can they do anything to provide some income while they get this really expensive college education? So I'm sorry.
I think you're on to something for that, especially not only for to be able to do it, but I think it's going to be good to have the idea of leadership when you are able, competency, when you're able to do that. And I'm noticing that many of our young people don't even know how to change a tire, nor do they know how to put a battery cable on a battery. I mean, it's a disconnect. So I think the connection back to the reality. It has a way to look at reality that we need to do that even in the kitchen cooking.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, to plan a menu, there's some basic skills that you're speaking about that's really needed, that complements, that should be infused. They used to have home economics.
Talk about it.
That's right. And they would have that. You had every day, you had boys and girls, you had to learn that. I'm going to tell this brief story though.
Okay.
So speaking about it, I wanted to learn when I went to the famous Jack Yates Senior High School. And so, so
JY.
I wanted to take so badly. My girlfriend and I dressed up. They would not allow girls to take auto mechanics at that time. So we wanted to learn. I had this desire to take a car apart and put it back together. You know, still today, I really want to do that. And I have an old car sitting there waiting on me to learn to take this apart and put it back together. So we dressed up and went into the auto mechanic lesson, put a hat on and everything. We thought we could really get away with it. And we started doing it. We had the guys that were, helping us out. And we over in the corner. And finally the teacher would come next to it, and he came and he said, and he called our names. And he said, just leave. You have to get out of here. You cannot. I was so hurt because I wanted to know. That was one thing I felt, that if I could learn to do that, I could do anything. You see? And so because, it's related to the body, I guess it's related to a whole lot of stuff. So one of the things I think we should say that for seniors, for women, for men, to learn how to do all of those kinds of things that you're stating, I think is important. But you mentioned something else, and Dr. Walker mentioned it. He was talking about it, how important this is. So I wanted to see what you have discovered. We're looking at competence. When you train, do you have any information on how effective this is to learning, the learning styles, as it compares to when people are not learning who they are? When you look at the curriculum, do you have the outcomes? I mean, I know some, but I just want to see how you interpret the outcomes for males, for females, when they go through this culturally competent, relevant education program. You see the difference in what do they learn, learning styles and all that. I'm trying to see. And then there's another component I hope you can speak about, because I want to bring that in, parenting.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, the complement part for parents.
Parent engagement is huge. What we've always talked about and what the board initially stated to the friends is that, you know, this is a community school. We want it to feel like a community school. So one of the things I always tell my mom in Denver, because she's bored sometimes, is like, go on up to that elementary school, go read a book to someone. Right? So this community school is not just engaging parents, but we want to engage the community and rally support on, it's 2,500 kids that will be in the building K-12, but we want to rally support around those individuals. And there is a lot of community embedded activities planned, parent classes, parent center, providing parents opportunities to learn a foreign language through Rosetta Stone, just be engaged. One of the things that I was very successful in with previous models is just monthly parent family projects. So where you get the family engaged. And I remember doing them with my little daughter when she was in kindergarten a million years ago. And we would be so excited about the family project night. And we would come together and we'd eat popcorn and we'd get the glue and the scissors and we would work together to complete her family project. And so that's something we want to infuse K-12. We feel like a lot of times what happens with parents is we get a little disengaged once they get past 5th grade. But from what the friends and what we know for sure is that 6th through 12th is the time where you need to be checking the backpack every day. You know,
every day. Mm-hmm.
You don't
Mm-hmm.
stop in 6th grade. You got to start checking it twice, right? So, just encouraging parent engagement all the way through. The family projects continue all the way to 12th grade. And as far as outcome based, what we have is just the research that others have done, stating that if you have a culturally relevant curriculum, that Brown and Black students will do better. If you provide multicultural, tactile, kinesthetic, moving around, it will help our students do well. If you provide opportunities for critical thinking, it will improve the STAR scores. So I think Basie was on a show the other day and they were like, well, you guys, Miss Basie, you all don't speak about academics. Well, we feel like academics is second. That's going to be, first is going to be easy to get to. The other part is that social emotional, building the kids up to be strong, community-minded leaders of their community. That's why you hear us talking so much about global zeal and entrepreneurship and community service, because academics, if you set the bar high enough in our community, our kids will get there. We've seen them do it before. But the problem is we have to set the bar. And that goes back to teacher training, because a lot of times teachers come in with the mindset that, oh, they live in CUNY homes, girl. They can't do nothing over there, honey. Them children are so slow. And so they set the bar down here and the kids but you got to set it way up here.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
and expectation.
Yeah.
There are a lot of studies that show that when the teachers have expectation that the student achievement is higher. So I think you're right on that for the teachers.
Right.
That whole the expectation piece. Society has a specific expectation for Black folk that is negative, and we've seen that and we've known about it for hundreds of years with the police brutality, the whole white supremacist system. But 2020 had multiple deaths that made global news and global headlines. And so I just want you to speak to how Sankofa Academy is a school for this particular time with this growing awareness of these realities. How does Sankofa Academy meet this particular moment?
Well, I think one, it empowers everyone. It empowers our students to one, know who they are and know their rightful place. And it'll also teach with order of things, how things can be, right? A lot of times kids are coming from all types of environments. And so they need this place where they can feel empowered, spiritually, emotionally, physically, feel protected. And so when you speak about why now, I think why now is because, one, with the pandemic, we've seen children just fall off the mark. You know, they're just falling, including my own. You know, the global, we weren't ready. And so Sankofa is an opportunity. One, we will also embed the virtual school per se, hybrid model to provide that opportunity for students to get a cultural, sounded, TEKS curriculum that teaches them that they are safe and valued and have rights. That's why I said, if you look at the 7 principles of Ma'at, that's why it's really, right now, it's important to teach balance and order and harmony, because if you look outside the window, it's so much, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening. And so our children need that safe place. So they too can spread that in their own communities, which is their home. So I think right now is needed, because you know, they can say what they want. I've been there. I've seen it. The numbers don't show that our kids are doing well. If you look at the state standards, African-American children are still lagging behind. And so right now, Sankofa Academy Public Schools is so important because it'll provide an opportunity for children to have a safe, culturally relevant learning environment that they can grow and then hopefully become global leaders themselves and start spreading some of this. And like I said, it starts in their own home, right? Health, wellness, nutrition starts in your own home. So when Aswad said, "Ride now," it's important that our students learn that nutrition, health, wellness matters, right? What did we see with COVID? Who did it attack? Right? But we have to do stuff right now to stop obesity, to stop diabetes. And that doesn't start when you're 26. That happens when you start embedding things in children, and they learn to eat their vegetables and take a walk and take a time out. And so the time is now, because the universe and the things that are happening in our world require us to change how we are educating African American and Hispanic students in the urban community. It's just what it is, and it's not really a hard change, right? We're just providing them what they need. They need to be able to see culturally relevant curriculum in front of them. They need to be provided opportunities for leadership and entrepreneurship. They need to get involved in their communities and volunteer, because then we'll start seeing a change. And what we'll see is what we saw at Lib, is that attendance goes up. Our kids attended. They wanted to come to school. What are we doing today? It wasn't social studies, it was social justice. What's happening in social justice? Ms. Fisher, we're gonna watch the news this morning. Let's see what's going on. They want to be engaged and learn more when it's relevant to their learning.
And be able to think about it, not just what is presented to them, but be able to really think about what is also not said, make connection and do something about it, create a leadership perspective as to what to do. I did want to mention to you that we're training cultural coaches, mental health and cultural coaches in the community that speak to that. And Doc Walker is one of the persons that are participating in that. And so we hope when our people are out, that we're going to be engaged in helping more families and persons who need that. And those people will be well equipped with the mind, body, spirit perspective, but also to be able to be culturally social, be able to socialize people culturally, which means this is what's going to be truly important coming up when you spoke of the global zeal, is to be able to be well informed of the uniqueness of their culture and appreciate other cultures and be able to interact with those cultures to hold on to what is unique about you, to be able to speak about it in harmony. And this is what's coming up in the future. I can see that we're needing to move for that. So any recommend?
I just before we before this hour, which is just blown by.
Yeah, it's just went by. It was so good.
Before we're out of here, I just wanted to ask Ms. Fisher. So the person that's watching this, the parent who wants their child in Sankofa, or the business person who says, you know what, that's something I can support, or just anyone who is inspired by by Sankofa Academy and what you've laid out, how can they help make this happen? Because it's not a school that's doors are open right now. What's the process? How can they help?
The charter application will be submitted by the board of directors: Alicia Basie, Aswad Walker, Kavanaugh Swayze, Dr. McReynolds, Denise Lopez, Tanine Kane. Those individuals will submit the application to the Texas Education Agency and are asking for community letters. If anyone would like to be a part of this legacy, groundbreaking opportunity to have your letter submitted with this application, I think you can definitely email contact@sankofaacademy.org, or you can log on www.sankofaacademy.org to get more information, to be a part. The school, if approved, I believe, Mr. Walker, it would open September 2022. And so next year would be just working year. This year, 21, would be the working year, getting everything organized and going. The application process, as you know, is very rigorous. Texas Education Agency, they say if charter school application process was easy, everyone would have one. So they definitely make you go through some steps. And so the next step for the board is getting through the application process. Aswad and Basie will go to TEA, hopefully around his birthday, May 12th, for a capacity interview, and then be approved in June. And then the district would start getting more formal things out, like applications and things like that for parents. But anyone currently, if you log on to sankofaacademy.org, the board will be glad to answer any questions that you have. You'll find their pictures and their bios, all their information, sankofaacademy.org. And again, the board president is Alicia Basie, and Aswad Walker is our vice chair. Kavanaugh Swayze is our treasurer. Dr. Vion McReynolds, Denise Lopez, and Tanine Kane, my sister, is the secretary.
Okay, and if you get us your information, we'll make sure we post it on the website, because we're doing the intergenerational parenting program in Third Ward in Sunnyside, and that's got to be a huge introduction to them, because we'll be holding forums and we can have that information for them to sign up or to get more information and see what that's about. Okay, then I want to thank the two of you for being here this morning. And I know we have more talk about this to see what's coming up, and then maybe some demonstrations so that persons can begin looking at what is about to come and how they can participate in the meaning, what does it really mean, and how can I implement this? Because we're also looking at cultural competence in the community and how parents will recognize material that their children have that are culturally competent, and to reduce, and how to handle conflict resolution through knowing who you are, those kinds of things. So I'm sure you're going to be helpful, and Doc Walker will make sure. Yes, and so we'll follow up with all of you, both of you, and we'll see where we are with all of that. Okay, then. Any lasting comments, motivational statements, comments, or tidbits that we would like to have, okay, at this time? Like recommendations to get ready. Recommendations to get ready. I gave one just then.
Yeah, I just think that for just moving forward, just to encourage parents and encourage viewers just to stay engaged in this process called education, and really question the authorities, the teachers, the principals. You know, right now it's tricky to be engaged with your school, but don't let off. You know, we have to stay engaged. As I stated, our students were, 2 years behind already before this COVID. So you can imagine now our students are going to be lagging. And so we need parents to stay engaged. We need you to contact your school, question things, and be a part of the education process. It's a three-legged stool. It's the parent, it's the student, and it's the teacher. So that would be my best advice right now. Just stay engaged. I know it's tricky. It's hard for all of us right now, but we have to make sure our kids are learning in school.
Thank you so very much.
Thank
So
you.
I want to say thank you, and I hope you'll be back, both of you. Come back to visit us, and we'll follow up. So I want to say to those persons who visited us today, thank you for being our audience. And remember, renew belief, rebuild faith, and reconnect family and friends. For it is not the circumstance we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. And so I'll see you on there. Don't forget to go to our website, wrc-houston.com. Sign up for the community mental health and cultural competence coaching. And we're getting ready to sign up for our second class. And remember, the scholarships have been paid for you. You only need to pay a minimal amount for your state, your taxes, and everything. So make sure you get on there, wrc-health houston.com for our community wellness and health program transformation. Thank you, and I'll look forward to seeing you on next week, same time, same place.